Hello everyone! Now you will hear a brief summary of the movie Cruel Intentions. Enjoy watching. A wealthy guy named Sebastian unexpectedly started flirting with his psychologist during a session. His problem is that he constantly tries to get girls into bed. He even hugged Dr. Greenbaum for too long and too tightly. He wouldn't mind hooking up with her pretty daughter Marcy either. She just called to complain about her ex-boyfriend, who posted her nude photos online. And that was our hero Sebastian. The woman is furious. And Sebastian immediately ensnared another girl. Bunny Caldwell assigns Catherine, a successful wealthy student, to take charge of her daughter Cecile. According to Catherine, to manage everything, she often turns to God. And with that, she pulls out a large cross from her bosom. The sheltered girl was always homeschooled, and in her new school, she is most interested in boys. Unfortunately, at Manchester School, Catherine's stepbrother, the rogue Sebastian, also studies, who just entered the room and made a lewd joke towards Cecile. The mother and daughter left, and Catherine took some cocaine, which she keeps in that very cross. These two representatives of the golden youth entertain themselves by seducing everyone around. Catherine gives her brother a task. She was seeing a certain Kurt, did all sorts of things for him, and he went and fell in love with someone else, precisely with an airhead, Cecile Caldwell. Therefore, it needs to be arranged so that by the end of the semester, she has the reputation of being the biggest slut in school. But Sebastian refuses. It sounds too simple. However, the girl Annette, who wrote an article in a magazine about wanting to preserve her virginity until marriage, piques his interest much more. A true paragon of chastity. She will be staying at Sebastian's aunt's house for some time. Her father has been appointed as the principal of their school. It's the ultimate challenge to seduce the new principal's daughter before classes even start. You don't stand a chance. You're not on her level. Sebastian records all his conquests in a special diary. Catherine proposes a bet to her brother. If he fails to seduce Annette, he will give his sister his vintage Jaguar. But if he succeeds, she will give him what he has long desired. Annette gets acquainted with the estate where she will be living. Sebastian is already there, waiting for his prey. He immediately began criticizing her manifesto on abstaining from sex. Maybe she's just a lesbian? But it's not for this rake to judge her. Annette has heard about the heartthrob's reputation. A certain friend warned her in a letter, describing the seduction tactics that Sebastian uses. Cecile is practicing the cello with her teacher. Ronald sits behind her and shows how to handle the long bow. The girl immediately melted. The sensual lesson was interrupted by Catherine. Sebastian complains to his gay friend Brian about the jerk who set him up. It was definitely the football player Greg. He's from the same town as Annette and might have a crush on her. But Brian knows for sure that he's not into girls. They've hooked up more than once, even though the athlete whined after every night that he's not like that. Sebastian asks his buddy to meet with him today. He has some plans for Greg. Greg was just telling his athlete friends how he hooked up with some beauty. But then Brian called him. Catherine questioned Cecile about her relationship with Kurt. He kept talking about the dumb cow he dumped on the 4th of July, probably a fool. The girl admits that she's a bit afraid of guys. She has never even kissed them. Catherine offers to teach her protege right here and now. A small peck. Seems like nothing scary. Now Catherine will put her tongue in her mouth and she will massage it with hers. The girl closed her eyes and, exchanging saliva, worked their tongues. Cecile really liked it. Her friend suggests she continue practicing with her teacher Ronald. Moreover, as it turned out, he writes Cecile love letters. She also likes the guy. But her mother will kill her if she finds out about these letters. She hides them in a dollhouse. To attract Annette's attention, Sebastian turned the music up to full volume. He gave her a personalized backpack for the start of the school year, and then he suggested they swim together in the pool. Why not? It sounds quite harmless. Before returning to Sebastian, Annette put on some perfume. Once there, she kind of accidentally caught him naked. After showcasing his assets, the guy got into the pool. Annette recalls how Sebastian is described as cunning in the letter, but she doesn't admit who sent it. However, she reminds him that she has a boyfriend who is currently traveling around Europe. The seducer goes on the offensive, but the girl just mocks his tactics and leaves. Midnight has arrived. It's time to gather compromising material on Greg. Bursting into the room, Sebastian photographed him in bed with Brian. Greg immediately agrees to do anything just to keep his true orientation a secret. He is tasked with telling his friend how great Sebastian is, as well as trying to find out the name of the letter's author. And the girl confesses. It was Marcy Caldwell, Cecile's mother. Cecile herself shows Ronald what she can do. This Catherine installed a hidden camera to gather compromising material on the silly girl. But so far, the lovebirds haven't even gotten to a kiss. Evil Sebastian is now ready to help his treacherous sister ruin the girl's life. Almost bringing her brother to orgasm, Catherine ran away. Sebastian called Ned to invite him for a walk. Catherine, however, turned Cecile over to her mother, telling her about the affair with the teacher. I know, she's so young, and he's so black. This could ruin her reputation at Manchester School. And if Bunny has doubts, she can check by looking into the dollhouse. Bunny caused a scandal and kicked Ronald out, forbidding him from seeing her daughter, not holding back from making Russian remarks. The brother and sister continue their devious game and tell the musician that Cecile is also fond of him. He must write her another letter, and the couple will deliver it. This time, even Sebastian asks if Catherine really wants to ruin the life of an innocent girl. They haven't gone this far before. But her desire for revenge is too great. They call a tearful Cecile and offer her to come to them and pick up the letter that Brian wrote to her. Cecile arrived, and Sebastian immediately got her drunk. He photographs her and suggests she express her sexuality. A couple of photos in a bra are taken, but she refuses to go further. Sebastian threatens to call Cecile's mother, and she was under house arrest. To prevent him from doing that, the girl agreed to give him one kiss. However, it turned out that it wasn't on the lips, but significantly lower. Cecile returned home disheveled already by morning. During breakfast, Sebastian mocks her and reminds her of what happened between them last night. At his aunt's request, the spoiled young man has to agree to go help at the nursing home. Annette went with him. There, he is rude to an old lady, taking advantage of her hearing problems. But in front of Annette, he pretends to be charming. However, she saw through him this time as well. To remove Sebastian's haughty mask, Annette makes faces and makes him laugh. And then she takes his hand. Cecile wants to confess terrible things to her friend Catherine. Her brother took advantage of her. How did he take advantage? He wrote the alphabet between her legs. At first, it was disgusting, but then it became pleasant. And in the end, there was an explosion. Cecile, that was an orgasm. Catherine suggests she shouldn't stop, and should let Sebastian continue to teach her, so she can later please Ronald. And in general, you should sleep with many partners. Everyone does it, they just hide it. Cecile is now actively practicing and doesn't even want to give Sebastian a break. But all the Major's thoughts are focused on Annette. It seems Sebastian is falling in love with her. On the lawn, he approached and kissed the girl, but he overdid it with the pressure. He manages to find out that the girl is not indifferent to him. And this, according to her, is not like her. In the evening, Sebastian created a scene and accuses Annette of being cold one moment and hot the next. And if she rejects him, he will leave. But the girl asks him to stay and locks the door. They kiss, and Annette was ready to give herself to Sebastian. But he said he couldn't do it. And he left the room. In the morning, his sister came to learn about his successes, and she was surprised by Sebastian's actions. Catherine informs that Annette has left the estate and will now live with her friends. From Greg, Sebastian found out where his sweetheart was headed and managed to intercept her at the station. The girl appreciated the gesture and kissed Sebastian. After that, they made love. All of this was very displeasing. Catherine. She invited Sebastian and demonstratively moaned before he entered the room. It turns out, she managed to seduce our musician Ronald, and he shamefully ran away. Catherine is ready to give Sebastian the promised reward, meaning herself, but the blonde rejects her. Catherine went on the offensive, but her stepsister no longer interests him. Then she reminds him that Annette is the daughter of the school principal, and he definitely doesn't need a son-in-law with such a reputation. Catherine is also sure that people don't change overnight. And Sebastian is still the same scoundrel as she is. The rich kid intends to confess everything to his beloved and has come to her home. But when he's there, he lies to Annette, saying he doesn't love her and just wanted to know what she's like in bed. The guy cries and continues to say nasty things to her. The disappointed girl screams and drives the scoundrel away. Now he has come to Catherine to tell her that he broke up with Annette. Now he's ready to take what is rightfully his. But his sister is waiting for Ronald. Then Sebastian takes out a letter from the musician addressed to her. He arranged a rendezvous for the couple, and Ronald stayed with Cecile, so there's no point in waiting for him. Catherine mocks Sebastian. She made him give up his first true love. He's just a toy in her hands. And she won't give herself to him either, because she doesn't sleep with losers. Sebastian realized he messed up and is now trying to call Annette. Then he goes to her, but he's not let in. So he asks to have a letter delivered to her. In it, he expresses regret for taking pleasure in mocking others. Now he has hurt the one he loved. He also gave her a diary with a collection of his romantic conquests. He dedicated a separate page to his stepsister, and Annette's page is titled Bet. At night, Catherine calls Ronald and lies, saying that Sebastian hit her. She asks him to come and support her. The musician left Cecile in bed to finish sleeping alone. Catherine also told him about the antics of the goody-two-shoes girl and her brother. At the same time, Annette went out looking for Sebastian. Ronald reached the major and a fight broke out between them. Annette tries to separate them, but falls onto the roadway. At the last moment, Sebastian saves the girl, but he himself is hit by a car. He squeezes Annette's hand and confesses his love. Unfortunately, he was not destined to survive the accident. In the church restroom, the cocainist inhaled another dose of drugs. Annette came out of the stall. She suggests to the bitch to turn to God to help her cope with the loss. Catherine delivers a eulogy. For some reason, the students stand up one by one from their seats and head outside, glancing back at the girl. Outside, Cecily is handing out some notebooks to everyone. These are copies of Sebastian's diary, where all the sins of his stepsister are detailed. The school principal takes the cross from her hand and pours out white powder from it. The reputation that Catherine had built up is now shattered. And Annette will now be driving around in the vintage Jaguar that belonged to Sebastian.